My name's Om Hemdev, and I'm here with Shanaya Dastur, and she's the head pastry chef and the owner of Gat'oh. And Shanaya, why don't you tell us what piqued your interest in food?
My family and I love to travel, and we've always loved eating good food and discovering local cuisines and things like that. And I'm from Gujarat initially, and I used to just love cooking good food for my family, and we didn't have a lot of good restaurants there, so that kind of pushed me into the kitchen. And eventually, I got a lot of support from my family, and they urged me to go to culinary school and follow my dreams because I was happier in the kitchen than anywhere else. And that's it. I kind of just, changed my career and went to culinary school in London and Paris. And well, here I am now.
So Paris and London both
Yeah,
have immense influence on your restaurant, right? I took a look at your
very
restaurant.
much so.
Right,
Yeah.
many French dishes, some directly mentioning Paris. So, in
Yeah.
your opinion, which pastry best represents your your life and like Paris and your view?
I don't think there's any pastry that truly represents it, but I think the whole collection as such would represent my experience in Paris or London. I'm extremely fond of éclairs. Wherever you go in Paris or any patisserie you go to, they will definitely have éclairs, if nothing else. Like that's the one definite common thing in all places. I do feel like éclairs are, I think the closest thing that I would say is, defines Paris for me or is like reminiscent of Paris for me.
Okay, so the eclairs that you have in your
Yeah,
store, have you like edited the recipe a bit, or is it
definitely.
purely,
No,
original?
of course. So, see, the thing is, these desserts were designed to exist and be eaten in, cold countries like France and England. But of course, being in India, we have to also adapt to a lot of changes like weather, temperature and availability of ingredients. So, I did change a lot of the desserts, like in the sense to adapt to our palates as such. Like, being in a hot country, you can't eat very heavy desserts. So you have to make them a little bit lighter on the palate. So you feel like eating the dessert. So there are a few changes that you have to make. Sometimes you have to make changes to adapt to the weather conditions and, things like that. Because again, Paris and Bombay are two very different cities.
Now to a very interesting question. Out of all the recipes that you have, not necessarily at your restaurant,
Yeah.
which recipe was the toughest for you to master and why?
Yeah, so this question I had to put in a lot of thought because I'm like, which is the recipe that I have truly mastered? Because they do say you have to spend 1,000 hours doing something to truly master it, and as in 1,000 hours doing just that one thing. I don't think I've ever given 1,000 hours to any one particular recipe, so I can't say I've mastered them. But one thing I have learned is how to adapt a lot of the recipes through a lot of trial and error to suit where you are making it, where you're doing it. Things like eclairs, right? So when I moved back to India and I was practicing my recipes here, the flour is different, the water is different, the butter is different, everything. So even though I had already done it a lot in Paris, even in my internship, made a lot of choux. When I came to India and I was testing it out here, there were about 10 failed recipes of choux before the 11th one finally worked. But even that keeps changing because after a year, something in the flour changed. So again, they were not responding the way you wanted. So, it's a work in progress, but there are a lot of recipes that you have to learn to adapt, even though you have learned it a certain way in school. So I'm currently still mastering most of them.
Right. So I'm gonna kind of morph that into another question.
Go ahead.
Um, so which is either your favorite or one or two pastries that you would recommend someone definitely try at Gato?
Okay, so I will definitely recommend my eclairs. I'm very proud of my eclairs. Also, another dessert which is extremely close to heart and is my absolute signature dessert is my almond orange cake, and it's my pride and joy. It's one of my favorite desserts, and it was, I make everything from scratch for that, and it is really popular, and people do tend to love it. And the other dessert I would recommend is called the chocolate lovers out there. It's called the chocolate intense. So these three desserts I would definitely recommend.
Okay. So now here's my other question. It's a little bit towards the business aspect of things.
Okay.
So, at least from what I've heard of Gato and what I've spoken to many other people about, is your eclairs are very famous. So, has it been difficult for you to get customers to try other things as well?
Absolutely. Certain desserts build their own cult bases, the way I would say. So, yeah, it sometimes gets tricky because people come back to the shop for the same thing. And, I'm excited to make them try all the new desserts that we've made, but they're like, no, we love this and we want to eat this. So, yes, sometimes it is a little difficult for a new dessert to pick up. But, you have to believe in your creation. You have to be confident about it, and slowly and steadily somebody will pick up the new dessert, and it does pick up. It sometimes it takes a little time to pick up, but they do become popular. For example, I introduced the coffee eclair a few months ago, and the other two eclairs were so popular that people didn't want to risk trying the new flavor. But some slowly and steadily it did pick up, and now it's just as popular as all the other two eclairs that I sell.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will definitely try your coffee eclair now because I haven't tried it.
Thank you. And look, one thing I've learned in pastry is everyone cannot love everything, and that's perfectly fine. That's what makes you human. So even if you don't like it, but you like what you originally loved, and I'm just going to be happy with that as well.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and all the very best for you.
Thank you.